One of the most useful and flexible meta fields provided by ACF Pro is the Flexible Meta field. The problem is, if you're an Elementor user, you don't have an easy way of adding the content into your design. Today, we'll be taking Dynamic Content for Elementor for a spin and testing out the newly added ACF Flexible Content tools. But first, this is a sponsored tutorial by Dynamic Content for Elementor. However, I'm not going to give you any opinions on the plugin. Instead, I'm simply going to demonstrate some of the features it offers, and then you can make your own mind up if this is a plugin you'd like to look into in a little bit more detail. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started. So first thing we need to do is go ahead and create some flexible fields that we can use with this particular feature. So I've got ACF Pro installed. We're going to come into custom fields and we're going to add a new field group. Let's give it a name. We're just going to call this ACF Flexi so I know exactly what it is. And we're going to assign this to the post type. That's perfectly fine. So all we're going to do then is come in and add a couple of fields in. Let's add our first Flexi field in. So we're going to call this Gallery. We're going to scroll right the way through until we get down to the bottom. Unfortunately, you can't see this, but under layout, we've got flexible content, and this now allows us to create our flexible content groups. So first thing I'm going to do is give this a label. Now, if you're new to working with flexible content fields inside ACF, it's a little bit different to what you may be used to. First thing we need to do is create the container for one of our flexible content groups. For this example, we'll create a gallery. So what we're going to do is we're going to give this a label first of all, and we're just going to drop in flexible content gallery. And underneath the name, you can see it automatically pre-fills that out. That's perfectly fine. We can choose the kind of layout. We're going to stick to using block, but you could use any of these options if you wanted to. And we don't need to worry about the minimum and maximum for this example. So this is the container for the fields that are going to make up the actual flexible field itself. So now we can go ahead and add in the flexible fields. So for this, we're going to add in a couple of fields. First, what we're going to do is we're going to call this gallery name. Let's prepend that by just putting Flexi, just so I know exactly what I'm working with. That will then automatically fill out the field name, and that's fine. We're going to leave this to field type of text because this is just going to be a text heading, and we're going to leave all the other information as it is. Let's add another new field in. This time we're going to call this Flexi Gallery Images. And again, this will automatically create the name for us. We just need to change the field type now from text to gallery. And this allows us now to upload a gallery of images if we want to. And you can see we've got all the normal things you'd expect to see inside here. They're just being treated like normal fields inside ACF, with just the flexibility of having them contained inside this container. And you'll see why once we go through the process of creating everything in this tutorial. Okay, finally, we're going to add one more field in, add field. We're going to call this Flexi Gallery Details. And we're going to set this to be a WYSIWYG field. So we'll just choose WYSIWYG editor to give people the ability to add a little bit of flavor to it. We'll change this to just being visual only, and we'll set this to be basic. We don't want any media uploads either, and we'll leave it at that. Okay, so that's our first set of flexible fields created. So we can close this down, and we can now create another one. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back up to this option, and we're going to say add new. And this allows us to create another new layout. And this, we're going to do something really, really simple. We're just going to put in another simple field, but this time we're only going to put one option inside the Flexi field container. We're just going to call this one Flexi Artist and leave that. Everything's set on there. And we're just going to come down here and we're just going to call this Flexi Artist Bio. And this is just where they can drop in some information about the actual artist themselves, photographer, you know, that kind of thing. We'll say, again, this is going to be a WYSIWYG editor. We're going to set this to be a really simple visual only with a basic setup and no media uploads. And there we go. So we've now added another option in. So we've got two flexible fields set up inside our Flexi group. What we can do now is we can add or change the label if we want to. You see it says add row. We're just going to say add gallery. And you can see we've got minimum layouts and maximum layouts and all these kinds of good things. Okay, so we're going to leave everything set up as it is there, and we're going to hit publish, and that'll be our Flexi field group all set up and ready to go. Now we've built the basics of the ACF flexible content fields, we need to build the templates to actually display these new meta fields. While this may be a really simple demonstration, you can easily create far more diverse and interesting layers using all the normal Elementor design tools. Now, creating the templates we need for our flexible content couldn't be easier. All we need to do is come into templates and saved templates, and we can use the free options then that Elementor free gives us. So we're going to come in, we can choose between page and section. Either will work perfectly fine for this example. However, let's just choose section to keep things clean and simple. Going to add a new section inside there, and we're just going to give this a name. So I'm going to prepend everything to do with the templates with in brackets flexi, so I'll know exactly what it is we're working with. And we're going to start off by creating the gallery template. So let's just create that new template. We'll get rid of this because we're going to start completely from scratch. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use some of the inbuilt features inside Dynamic Content for Elementor. So we've got a couple of field types we want to work with. Because this is a gallery, we're going to use the gallery field, and we're also going to use the ACF fields. Now I recommend using the Dynamic Content for Elementor widgets over any of the normal Elementor Pro widgets if you have Elementor Pro installed. It just means that everything's going to work flawlessly. So the first thing we want to do is pull in the title for the gallery we might be looking at. So let's just drag that into our page design. What we need to do now is tell it where do we want to grab that data from. So we're going to click to open this up, and we're just going to search for gallery. And you can see once we do that, this will now show us anything that has gallery associated with it. And what we're looking at are these three last entries. These now correspond to the meta fields we just set up inside our flexible field in ACF. So what we need to do first of all is grab the very first one, which is going to be the title. You can see Flexi gallery name, images and details and so on. So let's just choose this one. And what we're going to do now is we're going to tell this what type of content is going to be used. You can see ACF type, and we can drop that down and we have a range of different options. And this is just basically going to format the content to make sure it's correct. Now text is perfectly fine in this example because we just created a plain old text field. Let's just go ahead now and add in the gallery itself. So we're going to grab the ACF gallery widget and drop that underneath the title. I'm going to do the same thing again. We're going to do a search for gallery. And you can see this time we only see one entry because we dropped in a gallery field, so it's only looking for those kinds of ACF meta fields. We'll select that option from there, and you can see underneath we now lose the option to set what kind of content because we've chosen a very specific widget. This example is the gallery widget. The only thing that is important here though is it says receive the field from, and you can see it says current post. We need to leave it as current post because that's where it's going to display and pull the content from. So that's perfectly fine. Finally, we're going to add one more field in, and it's going to be an ACF field. We're going to drag and drop that under the gallery. We're going to come back over, do a search for gallery again, and this time we're going to grab the gallery details, which is a WYSIWYG field. We're going to select that, and then we're going to change the ACF type to WYSIWYG text content. This is going to make sure that it's all formatted correctly. And that's basically it. We can now publish this template, and we've created the first template in this example for our gallery. We just now need to repeat this process a second time for the second type of flexi content we had, which was the actual bio for the photographer. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back out of this, exit to our dashboard. We're going to create a second template. So into save templates again, into section, and what we're going to do is we're going to add new, and we're just going to again put in flexi to start off with, and we're just going to put in artist bio. There we go. We'll create that template. So once we've done that, we're just going to basically go through the same process. Going to close this down out of here. We're going to find those flexible fields that we want. So let's just come down until we find exactly what we want from there. ACF fields, we'll drop that into our design. And now we just need to do a search for artist. And there we go. There's our Flexi artist bio. Again, WYSIWYG, so we just need to select that from the list, change this over to WYSIWYG content, and we are done. However, what we can do, because we're creating templates, we're not restricted to only using dynamic content. We can still drop in any kind of static content we want. So for this example, we probably want to put something above this, a title to say what this text is actually all about. So let's just do that. Let's come over and we're just going to grab a normal heading widget, drop that above there, set that to something like H3, and we'll just put in artist bio. So that now makes a lot more sense what this actual text content is going to be about. But this can kind of show the benefits of being able to use these templates and mixing and matching the dynamic content and also using static content elements to ensure that everybody knows exactly what it is they're seeing. So with that being said, let's just publish this template, and that's our two basic templates created.
Next, we need to spend a little time building the single post template that will display not only the normal post meta fields like the title, content and featured image, but also include our newly designed flexible content fields and data.
Okay, so let's just create that template. Again, we're going to come into the template section, we're going to come into save templates, and this time we're going to create a new page. So let's just open up the page options and we'll add a new page.
And inside here, we're just going to call this page, and we'll put in single post with Flexi. There we go. So we'll create that template. And now we can go ahead and create the actual page template for the single post type. Now, again, I would highly recommend, if you're using Elementor Pro, to still stick with using the Dynamic Content for Elementor widgets. You have the same kind of range of widgets inside here for your content, featured image, those kinds of things. Okay, first of all, let's get rid of the default title inside here. We can do that by coming to settings, and we can just hide the title. So we just now end up with a nice clean blank page to work with. Okay, so once we come back in here, we've all got the options now for your breadcrumbs, your date, excerpts, all those kinds of things. So let's just pull in, first of all, the featured image, drag and drop that onto our page, and you can see nothing displays inside there, but we can rectify that quite easily. What we're going to do is we're going to publish this template, and we're going to come back out of here, exit to our dashboard, and we're going to just choose a template preview option. Now currently you can see this is set to none, and this is part of Dynamic Content for Elementor. Let's just change that to something we know is going to be one of the posts, and that example is London property. I'm going to select that, hit update on there, and then we're going to come back in and edit this with Elementor. Once you do that, you can see that now pulls in the featured image. So you've now got some data to work with, to style, and so on. So this just makes things a little easier. So let's just do the same thing again now. Let's just go ahead and add in some of the other things that we need. So obviously we've got the featured image inside there. We want to have something like the title of this actual thing. So you can see London properties being pulled in, and now I can go ahead and style that any way that I want. So we can say we want to set that to H2, for example. I can come into my styling, and we're going to just say, we're going to just make this a little bit heavier. We're going to say, actually just go a little bit heavier again. Let's say something like that. There we go. So you can style this and do what you want with it. Change your colors to your global colors. All those kinds of good things are stored inside here for you. Heading back over to our widgets, we can now go ahead and flesh this page out. So what we want to do is drop in the content now underneath there. You can see there's our content, and we can go ahead and add any of the other fields that we want in. But let's just say we're happy with everything so far. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and insert those templates that we've just used for the flexible content. And to do this, again, we've got another widget that's part of Dynamic Content for Elementor. So we can drag and drop that onto our page layout. And then it says select the field. So we're going to come in and we're going to do a search for Flexi. And you can see there's our Flexi tutorial gallery and our Flexi sample. So what we want to do is grab this Flexi Fields demo tutorial gallery. We'll grab that option from there. And once that's done, you can see we can retrieve the field from. Again, we have current post. That's exactly what we want to use. And they say show these layouts. So this is where we get to choose exactly what layout we want to pull in. Now these layouts are basically the templates we want to use, but you're not restricted to that. Let's just say add an item. You can see we can choose the layout, and we have two different display modes. We can use the HTML and token, so you can actually go in and type in exactly what you want inside your, style it through HTML and so on and so forth, which is fine if you want more flexibility. But if you are using Elementor and you created these templates, then the template is probably the easiest way to go about it, and what most of us are probably going to use. So we'll select the template option. So the first thing to do is select the layout that we want. So again, we're going to do a search for Flexi, and inside there you can see we've got Flexi Content Gallery, Flexi Artist, and Simple Flexible Content. Well, for this example, we're going to start off with the gallery. So we'll select that option from there. And once we've done that, we say select the template. So we're going to come over here. We're going to do a search for Flexi again. And we're going to find the template. So there we go, Flexi Gallery Template. And we're going to just choose that option. Set that from there. And that will now insert that template for us. We can do the same thing again. We can add another template in. So this time we're going to add in that artist or photographer's bio. So we do the same thing. Select the layout, we're going to do Flexi again from there, and we're going to just choose the Flexi Artist, and then we're going to choose the template that's going to be used. So again, let's just do Flexi on there, and we want the artist bio. So you can see why I recommend putting the Flexi at the beginning of these things, because it just means that when you're working with flexible content, it just makes more sense when you see that's flexible data that you're pulling in, flexible templates and those kinds of things. So now if we hit update on there, we should now have all the relevant templates inserted into our layout. So let me just quickly recap on what this does, because I think it's something that you just need to grasp what's going on here. The first thing you can see at the top, the Flexi demo, gallery, flexible content, and so on, is what's the ACF field group that you want to reference. In this example, it's our custom field group, which has those flexible fields in. So this is saying where's all the data coming from. And then you get to choose, when we take a look at these options, for example, is which of the specific flexible field groups do you want? So example, we have the gallery is one flexible field group, and we also have a second flexible field group, which is the artist bio. So what you're doing is you're saying in this point, the layout is where you're pulling that data from inside the flexible content you created. And then finally, the template is which template that you've created to style and output that specific content pulled from your flexible content fields, what template you want to use. Hope that makes sense to you, because you're just repeating the same thing over and over again in these sections at the bottom. So if you have multiple different templates with multiple different meta field groups, it's all going to be pulled in from the relevant templates and placed into your template queue. Hope that makes sense. It can be kind of confusing until you really start working with it yourself.
Now before we move on, let's just add some sample data to a post so we have something to work with, and this will also be a great opportunity for me to demonstrate how the flexible content fields actually work.
So we're going to use this London property as our example, and we're going to just come in and edit that. And you can see we have a new section at the bottom now called ACF Flexi Demo Tutorial, which is the flexible field group that I set up as ACF. So what we can do is now we can say we've got add gallery, we can click on there, we can choose flexible content gallery or flexi artist, which are the two different kinds of flexible content fields we've created. Let's start off with the flexi artist. So we've got the artist bio inside there. So what I'm going to do is just simply copy this little bit of text from there, and we'll drop that into there. Okay, so that's our first field setup. Let's add another one in, and this time we're going to say the content gallery, and you can see the gallery name, so we're just going to call this sample gallery. We'll just come down and we'll do the gallery details, and again I'll just copy that little bit of text inside there, and we're going to add some images to the gallery. So we'll just choose these 5 images and select those, add that inside there, and we've created those 2 flexi fields. But the beauty of the flexible fields is we can add more in. So if I want to add another gallery in, I can add another gallery, and you can see I can go ahead and add more images. I can do whatever I want inside there. I can duplicate this if I want to. I can add a new layout. I can remove the layout. So let's just remove that from there. And that's how easy it is to add that custom data in. So let's just update this page so we've got some content.
Okay, now for the final step of the process, setting the single post template to be used on our website. So let's see how we go about doing that right now.
So what we need to do is head back out of here into our dashboard, and from our dashboard we're going to come down to the dynamic content option and into template system. Now, first of all, make sure this is enabled. If not, if it's disabled, you just need to enable it so we can use the templating system. And then you can see we've got all the various different types of templates we can assign. We can assign it to posts, pages, and so on. Properties is a custom post type that I previously created, so you can assign your own custom templates to any custom content that you create, any custom post types. However, we're just going to stick with the posts for this example. On the right hand side then, we can set up and configure the single and the archive templates. We only want to focus on the single for this example. So what we need to do is first of all choose what template we want to use. So let's just open this list up, and you can see all of our templates are listed inside here. What we're interested in is this single post with flexi template, and you can see this is one of the reasons why I put the page before it and labeled it the way that I did, because it makes it immediately obvious that it's a single post template. So we're going to choose that option from there. We can then choose whether we want to use default, full width or canvas for our layout. We're going to leave this at full width, and we're going to hit save settings. So now we've created the template and we've assigned the template to be a single post template. So let's hop over to our demo site again. So let's just refresh to make sure we've got a fresh updated version, and there's our London property. So now if we click to go and take a look at that, you can see there's everything we laid out, the featured image, our title and our description. And if we scroll down, you can see there's our artist bio with the text, there's our sample gallery, there's our gallery of images, and you can see there's our description of our particular gallery itself. Now, if you want to make changes to any of these, you just simply need to edit the templates. So for example, if we wanted to change something about the gallery template, we come back into our save template section, and we're going to open up this with Elementor, and then we can make any configuration changes that we want to this. So for example, we might want to put some headings in. So let's just say we'll drag a heading above our description. We'll set this to be H3, and we'll just call this gallery description. And we can change the gallery styling itself as well. So we can select the gallery. And if you want to, you can make some adjustments to this. So we could change the gallery type. So at the moment it's set to masonry. We could set that to be something like grid. You see, we can choose the number of images. We could come in and say we want it justified, for example, and then we can adjust the image spacing. So we'll say we want to put 10 pixels, last row. Then you can adjust the images, the size they're going to be used, the lightbox settings, all those kinds of things. We just need to update the template then, and we can hop back over to our test, refresh the page. Make sure we've got an updated version. And if we scroll down, you can see we now have gallery description inserted in there. We have our images, the lightbox, all those kinds of things. So at the moment, it looks a little bit ugly because there's no real styling being done to it, but everything is in place and you can see how easy it is to start building things out.
Now, if you found this video tutorial useful and you want to learn more about dynamic content for Elementor, check out this playlist next. It's packed with goodies you're going to find useful. If you found value in the video, well, why not give that thumbs up button a click? It really does help me out. However, if you didn't find value, feel free to hit the thumbs down button twice, as that seems to work pretty well too. My name's Paul C. This has been WPTuts, and until next time, take care.